Okay, welcome back. This is Jeff from Acme Live Scan and Notary. And today I wanted to talk about, somebody actually asked me, how do I find or where can we find contract work? So, first off, I don't have a magic answer for that. It's just trying to go out there and network with people and trying to put yourself out there so that people know that you do either notary work or, in my case, live scan work and notary work. So I'm gonna attack it, uh, that question on both those fronts because that's kind of what I do, and also aposty work. And so whatever type of work you want to do or work that you want to receive more work in that sphere, you need to go where the fish are. If you're fishing, you don't go away from the school of fish, right? You go where the school is and you throw your line in there and hopefully you get one or two. Okay. So that's the first thing. Okay. So in this case, for example, let's talk about fingerprinting. This happened to be a question on one of my fingerprinting videos. So I'm going to talk about fingerprinting. So if I want to get a contract with a school or somebody that does, shoot, hold on, I got a call. Okay, so if you're getting a if you want to get some work, some fingerprinting work like a school or such, what you need to do is you need to go out and talk to the school, talk to the parents, talk to those people that are in charge of hiring live scan technicians and try and get the job. So most of my work comes from word of mouth. Okay. So if you do a great job, especially in fingerprinting, it gets around. So I did a school a couple years ago and I keep talking about this on a bunch of videos. It was like 83 people. It's a lot of people. So 83 people, those are potential future customers of yours. Okay. So you do a big group, they're going to be like, they go to church, the church needs to be fingerprinted. Hey, I know a guy that fingerprinted our school. Why don't you call that guy? Okay. And then you get the call to do the church or whatever. I'm just making that an example. But what happened was I did the school, and then one of the ladies that worked at the school, she's the president of the Little League. She calls me up and says, "Hey, we need all our volunteers fingerprinted. And since you do the school, can you come out and do the same thing for our Little League?" Yeah, no problem. So I went out there, did that with a colleague, and then I went out there on the weekend and finished up another 25 people. So in total, we did about 80 some people in that group there over the 2 days. So it was pretty great. So word of mouth, always good. Now, that doesn't necessarily tell you how do I get a contract. Well, if you do a great job, they're going to call you back. Okay, so in this case, that school, they call me back every year. I keep doing the work. And then the Little League, they're probably going to call me back as volunteers change over time. Okay. So that's how you keep somebody coming back, is do a great job and you'll get the repeat business. As far as notary work and that, it's the same thing. You do a good job for their notarization and you're going to keep getting work over and over and over. Now, if you don't act professional when they first call you and you answer the phone, hello, yeah, and they're like, I'm looking for a notary, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm a notary, and you don't really know what in the heck you're talking about, or you don't feel confident, don't sound confident, they're going to be like, yeah, well, we might hire you, so maybe you get the job, but then you show up and maybe you don't look professional, maybe you don't act professional, and they're like, yeah, we're going to find another notary. And so you might charge them a fair amount of money, and you're like, oh, great, this is awesome, I got a great deal. But if they never call you back, it's not good. Okay, so you want to get that repeat business. So because that's where the money is the repeat business. Yes, I can put Google ads out and get 10 people through my door, but if they never call me back, that means I have to spend more money to get another 10 people to come back to me, to get to always have a constant flow of new business. And I don't want to do that. I want to get the people that I can call me. Let's say I have to have 100 people call me, because in notary work, for example, and same thing with fingerprinting, it's not like McDonald's where they're coming in every day and like, oh, I need a burger today. And maybe they don't come in tomorrow, but they'll come in on Friday and say, hey, I need another burger. Okay. It doesn't work like that for this kind of business. So this kind of business is you help somebody maybe 2-3 years down the road. They're like, remember you notarized my loan? And people actually say that to me. You notarized my loan. I'm like, okay, do you remember me? It's like, well, I've helped 10,000 people in between that time. So no, I don't, but you're there. So you're like, okay, yeah, I don't remember you, but I can help you. No problem. So those are the people that you want, and they're going to call you and you get that business. Then the other thing is they're going to refer their friends to you. And you want to obviously be available for their friends, and you want to do a good job. And they'll say, hey, Susie referred me to you. It's like, okay, yeah, I can help you. Of course, you don't remember who Susie is, right? It's like, okay, yeah, Susie, yeah. You can, I have the electronic journal, so I could say, okay, Susie, what's the last name? Oh, yeah, sure. I helped her back in February or whatever, electronic journal. You can look somebody's signer's name up, but so that's a benefit over the paper journal. But anyway, so the other thing that I wanted to share with you is in my particular software for fingerprinting, I could go in there and I can search by what type of work I'm looking for, and it will come up with a list of organizations that work in that field. So I just looked up youth organizations. Okay, so I just did this Little League. And so I can look up youth organizations, get some more Little Leagues, and then send out some flyers or whatever, trying to get them to know that I'm around and available. Is that effective? Not really. The word of mouth stuff works a lot better. But you know what? When you're starting from scratch and you don't have any link to some of these organizations, sometimes you need to do that. So spend a little bit of money, get some advertising out there and do that. Yes, you can run Google ads and such, but that for fingerprinting, that's going to get you the one-off people. Same thing with notary. You need to go where the fish are. So if you're looking for, like I was talking about, apostille work, if you want apostille work on an ongoing basis, you need to look for businesses that do work outside of the country on a regular basis. Okay. So they might be, XYZ company, whatever that is. Okay, let's just say Microsoft. Okay, Microsoft sells their software outside of the United States. Well, they might need some documents that need to be notarized and apostilled that go outside the country to whatever countries that they sell their software in. Okay, so if you're up in Washington where their headquarters are, maybe you can approach that and say, hey, who's over foreign I don't know, foreign affairs, I don't know what you would call it, but foreign people that deal with the doing business outside the country. and you might get a name or two and say, hey, I don't know if this is you, but I facilitate aposty work, and I'm a notary. And, you might need documents that need to be notarized and sent outside the country. Is that something that you deal with? And then they say, oh, no, I don't deal with that. That might be Jane. But this is, the person that deals with that is in this department, and their name is such and such. And then you work your way to the right person. And then once you get there, you say, hey, who handles that for you now? Oh, we have, Bob. He goes out there all the time. Well, hey, instead of paying Bob to do that, you can pay me. I will come to your office. I'll notarize your documents, and I'll get the whole process for you, so you don't have to have your employee do that work. You can have them do something else, and I'll be able to handle that. So that's how you kind of get into that work. But you need to find the corporations that need your service, and then try and approach them and get in there in the door. And then you obviously need to do a good job, because if you don't do better than Bob, their employee, they're gonna be like, why am I paying this person? I'll just send Bob, who does a better job than this person, and we're paying him salary anyway. So it's not going to cost a lot of money, and he can waste half a day over at the Secretary of State or whatever happens, however they handle it, So that's what you need to do to get this kind of work. Now, of course, you're thinking that I was going to give you a magic pill. There is no magic pill. Sorry to break it to you, but you can, these are the ideas that I'm telling you. This is what I'm doing. You just have to go out there. Now, one of the things, if you listen this long, which I don't get a lot of people listening this long. So if you're here, then you get some extra stuff. So I went last Friday, I went to a BNI group. This guy invited me to a BNI group, and BNI, I don't even know what Business Network International is what it stands for. I'm not sure, but it's a networking group. So how it's supposed to work is they are supposed to have a group of people. They all are in their career, their niche. So you have somebody that's a restaurant owner. Okay, you only can have one restaurant owner that makes Mexican food, let's say. Okay, in that group, you have an attorney that does estate planning. So I met one of those there. She was in there. There was a real estate agent. Okay, so they're getting desperate. Usually should only have one real estate agent, but in this group, they have a buyer's agent and they have a listing agent. They didn't call them a listing agent, but if you're in real estate, that's a listing agent, not a seller's agent. So, but you have two. You have the buyer's agent that's representing the buyer, and then you have the listing agent representing the seller. Okay, so they put them both in there representing those people. So in that group, how it's supposed to work is you have somebody, hey, I have somebody that wants to sell their house. Well, you can't approach the buyer's agent. You have to approach the listing agent that sells houses, and says, hey, I got my client here wants to sell a house. Here's the lead. So you give them the lead. Okay. And then what the listing agent's supposed to do is, hey, I'm listing this thing. Let me then refer anybody that needs an agent. I refer them to the buyer's agent, and then they can work together and get the deal happening. But anyway, so that's how it's supposed to work. So if there was an HVAC guy there, and he's the only HVAC guy in the group. So if you have an air conditioner problem or heater problem, you would call him or refer either yourself or anybody that as you go about your business that's looking for that kind of work. You refer them business. So I was in there as a notary, And of course, there was a lender there. There was usually there's title companies in there sometimes, not often, but usually lenders are there. The real estate agents are there. They all need notaries on a regular basis. So they can get my information. And then there was this estate planning attorney that needs mobile notaries all the time, of course. So you get if you want to get in those kind of networking groups, you can get in there and get some business going because they'll refer you business. It's not cheap, and the time is the time commitment's more a burden than the money. So in that group, I think it's $1,000 for 2 years. You can pay $1,000 for 2 years. That's not where the problem is. Okay, $1,000, fine. Pay $1,000. You can break it up, and they have payment plans and whatever, so you don't have to pay that all up front if you don't want to. But the issue that I had in joining is it's every Friday at 7 a.m. from 7 to 8:30 a.m. Okay, so yeah, I can probably do that most of the time, but if I just happen to know that I won't be available 2 Fridays out of this month, for example, okay, so what does that mean? That means that I have to get a substitute to go to the meeting to substitute for me and represent me. Okay, so it's a lot of work, trying to find somebody. So I was calling a colleague, hey, are you available? And she's saying, well, not really, because she's available now, but when she goes back to work, she's not going to be available. She works a night shift, so when she gets off at 6:30 San Francisco, trying to get back here by 7, it's almost impossible. Okay, because it's about 45 minutes to an hour drive, depending on the traffic, and usually it's a reverse commute, so it's not that bad, but still, it'd be a problem. So that's the thing that you have to think about, the time commitment. So I had mentioned that there because they're like, they want you to join, of course. And I'm like, well, I can't do it. And they said, well, there's other groups that meet like Thursdays at 10. And there's another group that they had mentioned that they only meet one time a month in person, and then the other times are online. So there is some differences. Now, of course, it's always better in person, just to let you know. In person is always better than online because you're going to be able to get those leads a lot easier, and you'll be able to build a relationship better with those other business owners. So that's the tidbit that I want to share with you. Now, I'm not saying that you need to go out and do that today, but you can look up BNI. You can show up and be a guest. Usually if there's somebody in the BNI group, it's better to find somebody in the BNI group, not just show up, because they get credit for inviting you. So if you find somebody in a BNI group and say, hey, can you invite me so I could just see how it is and see if I even like that group and how it operates, you can be invited there and check it out and, get your name out there. Especially as notaries, because you're there. And of course, I was there. I was as a notary. They invited me as a notary, but I said, yeah, I do a live scan. And one of the gals goes, oh yeah, I just was fingerprinted, last week or something. Like, oh, okay. And she went to my competitor. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, and she was complaining that hopefully they get the fingerprints. I'm like, yeah, I hope so too, because there's been a couple customers that have come to me from my competitor because it went sideways. So, not to say anything bad about my competitor, but, I was just given the experience of what happened there. So anyway, that's what you can do. Go out and do it. Go out and look for business, do the other things that you need to do, Google profile, put your name out there in all the platforms you can for free, and then you'll start getting some business. One of the things that I did when I first started was put my name on 123 Notary, and when I first did it, I was at the top of the list. I paid, and it was reasonable when I first got started, and I was at the top of the list. And this guy calls me and says, "Why are you at the top of the list?" I said, "Because I paid." Because he called me. I can't remember what was the deal. I got the deal anyway, but it was for a loan or something. I was getting a bunch of loan signings at that time through that website, and people would call, and I get some work that way. But anyway, so you can look into those sites as well. So anyway, I will end now. So go back to your day. Hopefully it was helpful. Like and subscribe, and maybe or comment. Say what you want to hear about, and I'll do some research or find somebody that can speak about it better than me. So that's it. Have a great one, everyone.